Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Eesh. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is a TV series loosely based on the Archie Comics graphic novels of the same name. Sabrina, if you didn't know, is a teenage witch. She made her debut in the 60s. Being a witch, she helps solve problems while helping her friends by using her magic spells, but in turn actually creates more problems, and so she tries to correct her mistakes. The character hit the TV spotlight in a 70s cartoon show, had another cartoon series in 1999, but is mostly known and made famous by the 90s sitcom series. Shout out to her talking cat companion, Salem, who stole the series with his comical one-liners and snarky attitude. He was best boy. In October 2014, the Sabrina series got a darker remake called The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This was an edgier, scary, and gory adaptation that was in a pulp horror style. The comic series was well received, and let me tell you, it has some horrific stuff in it. This ain't no squeaky clean kids comic. Cut to October 26, 2018, and the world premiere of the TV series streamed on Netflix. This adaptation has a different storyline, admittedly not as gory, but still retains the dark and horror-like atmosphere, perfect for Halloween. Many fans were excited. Heck, I remember thinking if it really followed the comics, then we'll be in for a great show. Unfortunately, the plot is its own thing, but there was a lot of potential as noted in the advertisements and trailers that this was going to be a hit, creepy show. The main premise of the show is that Sabrina, played by the beautiful Kernan Shipka, is a half-witch, half-mortal teenager. She will have to sell her soul to the devil and write her name in blood for a binding contract on her 16th birthday. Sabrina has to come to terms with her human lifestyle as well as her magical and darker witch side. Looking back, I couldn't help but think of this as this generation's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We got a strong, blonde girl who fights demons with some fun and light-hearted humour. It was campy, but just the right amount of scares too. Sadly, Salem didn't talk in this because for some reason the creators didn't want him to, and it would have been too silly. So I get it. They wanted to make it darker, and I understand why we didn't get a talking cat despite the comics still having him talk. The one-liners and fun moments would be given to Sabrina's gay cousin, Ambrose, who is probably my favourite character in the entire show. Sabrina's boyfriend Harvey, her transgender friend Theo, and her other friend Ross. The show had great themes that had a sprinkle of feminism, race, transgenderism, and gay characters. It was very LGBT friendly. The villains are great. Pro actor Michelle Gomez as Madame Satan does an excellent and scary performance. Also, watch Green Wing with Michelle Gomez. It's a British sitcom set in a hospital where she plays a very nasty yet comical villain. She also played the Mistress in Doctor Who as well. We have Father Blackwood, the head of the church and headmaster to the School of Unseen Art, a school where Sabrina must attend so she can learn spells and witch stuff. And we also have the devil himself, Satan. Satan is portrayed very well in season 1, being this ghostly yet threatening entity who haunts Sabrina and tries to win her over to the dark side. He is scary, and when he appears, he is seen as a cloaked man with a goat's head. Season 1's premise, mainly the villains, Madame Satan and Father Blackwood, are trying to threaten and manipulate Sabrina to use her witch powers and submit to the devil. They try to trick and bribe her in many ways, but Sabrina isn't having any of it. Everything was good in season 1, and then it just goes down from here. Part 2 comes and Sabrina is a bit happier. We still have the 3 main antagonists who are still trying to use Sabrina for their own gains. Sabrina has come to terms with her human and witch self, yet struggling to juggle the 2 lifestyles and the relationships she has. The tone is less dark, but still has its moments. Witch hunters and a doppelganger of Sabrina causing problems. Eventually it ends with Satan finally coming to Earth to bring the apocalypse, and Sabrina is forced to marry him. Although this is where it loses it for me. To have one of the biggest antagonists come and make his big move in season 1 made me question what would the other seasons be if she beats the devil. Satan now has a human form and is called Lucifer Morningstar, a handsome, devilish looking dude who looks right at home in 50 Shades of Grey, played by Luke Cook. Luke Cook is a superb actor who does well in the role. No disrespect to him, but having Satan become human and more attractive loses his threatening persona and vibes. He's not the creepy goat dude that we feared. A huge sense of threat and antagonism seems to go away. It all ends with a masquerade ball, and they're singing and dancing. Sabrina is able to trick Lucifer by teaming up with Madam Satan and imprison him. Then Madam Satan, aka Lilith, takes on the role as Queen of Hell, both coming to a truce. Part 3 has a pagan carnival as the main antagonist, even though Madam Satan is still here and no longer isn't an antagonist, but a consultant to Sabrina. It's a bit complicated. Season 4 introduces eldritch terrors and gods. So let's just say the writers read H.P. Lovecraft and decided to put it into the show. As mentioned, the first season is dark and creepy, and although there are still some episodes that retain this, it sadly becomes more campier, less scary and a bit predictable. As a TV show, I really don't like it. In fact, I think it's kind of garbage, and I wish I stopped watching it after part 2. Because those dances and songs during the masquerade episode, if you didn't like it, tough treacle, there's going to be more. In part 3, we are introduced to song numbers, dance routines, and the camp factor gets bumped up. I get Sabrina's friends are in a band, but there's one scene where they just start playing and singing Teenage Dirtbag. There's also a cheerleader dance number with the song Tricky by Run DMC. And I'm like, what? Why? These song and dance numbers serve no reason for the show. They do not show the plot, they don't enrich the characters, it's just some silly music video. I cringe rewatching it. Oh Satan, I cringed so hard. There is no drama. It's like the producer said, teenagers like songs and dance, right? Is High School Musical still in date? Let's put some music numbers in. I'm not kidding. You'll be watching one scene and then another scene is just a music video. This stunts the show and is added into the episodes just because it is. Like I said, it serves no purpose other than for you to enjoy. Since when was this pop idol or X Factor? The trailer of part 3 is actually a legit music video. Straight to hell music video. You can watch it on YouTube. They did a music video to promote the show. In part 4, we actually get song and dance numbers, but they are actually carefully put into the plot. Thank Satan. There's a demon inside someone's brain. One of the characters sings to calm them down. There's an episode where Blackwood goes to the school choir. Everyone must sing in tune, pitch, perfect, and give a good performance. If it's not to his liking, Blackwood will kill them all. A battle of the bands happens in episode 6 of season 4, where they confront an undead evil band, and by using a song, they exorcise them. This makes sense. In part 4, adding the musical numbers within the plot made sense. There was a reason for it. In part 3, I literally can't see the reason why we are listening to people sing. The love interest, although are great, the plot of it is very predictable. Any handsome teenage boy who is shirtless will inevitably end up with Sabrina, or Sabrina will fancy them. Harvey is her boyfriend at the start of the first episode, so that's normal. Nick? Yup, there's romantic tension there. Caliban? Oh, she hates him, but you can bet she warms up to him eventually. It gets ridiculous. Also, there's a clone of Sabrina, and they join forces to trick the residents of Hell. One Sabrina being the ruler of Hell, while the other maintains their high-skill mortal life. Sadly, this never goes anywhere. Sabrina actually has an evil twin in the comics called Katrina Spellman. To see her confront herself would have been good. I mean, what if Sabrina became evil and rules Hell? She had a lust for power and becomes corrupted, and eventually her human half has to stop her. I would have loved to have seen that. There is no evil twin Katrina in the show. One of the other reasons why I disliked this show the more I watched it, I noticed the plot armor. I'm going to make it very easy for you all. I'll spoil it now. I'm going to spoil it. None of the characters actually die. Only in the final season do we actually see deaths. There's way too much plot armor. And this is a show about witches and demons. The big bad and villains, Madam Satan, Father Blackwood and Lucifer, do not die and overstay their welcome. I found out by part 3 that it was clear who had plot armor, and the writers were too in love with these characters, too scared to kill them off. I get it. They are great actors and you don't want them out of a job. But sometimes to do great drama, we cannot let a villain overstay their welcome. Shows such as Game of Thrones and Attack on Titan has death scenes. This creates tension and drama. There's a fear. The villains in Game of Thrones eventually die, but the good characters also die too, shifting the power dynamics and causing more drama. Don't get me started on Blackwood. His character should have been killed off in season 2 or maybe 3. I hated the guy, as I should. But I got tired of hating the villain. It became boring. Satan becomes a bit part and no longer becomes intimidating, and it's somewhat comical. Now he is more humanized. Michelle Gomez, as Lilith, great actor, also becomes a bit watered down. What I'm saying is the longer the villains stay in the show, the threat levels go down. And when the threat levels go down, it becomes boring, we lose tension, we lose drama. None of the villains cause severe pain or trauma to Sabrina. Their roles are more like a thorn in her side. In reality, if I seen Blackwood after the events of part 2, I would have had his head. For a show to have themes of death and scary moments, there's a lot of plot armor. The show is caked in plot armor. To me, a story with fights and battles should have worked like this. If the villains are still alive, then there must be character deaths. If main characters are alive, there should be villain deaths. If there's constant fighting, there has to be some kind of consequence. If you look at the show Heroes, Sylar is one of the main villains. And although he does many bad things and kills off characters, he overstays his welcome and thus it becomes boring. A fan favourite character should never have plot armor just for the sake of being a fan favourite, especially if it's a villain. To write a good story, you should already know who the characters with plot armor are, and only a few should have it. David Morrissey, who played the governor in the show The Walking Dead, once stated that a villain should last no more than 2 seasons. The longer the bad guy is in the show, he loses his threat level and becomes either annoying or redeems themselves and joins the good guys. Heck, one of the characters in the comics actually dies by stumbling into the forest and watching a coven of witches doing a ritual. They end up ripping the poor victim. This causes Sabrina distress and pain. I mean, having a death affecting your lead character is a good way of storytelling, and letting your lead cope with it and seeing what they do after is interesting. Will Sabrina get revenge? Will she hate being a witch? Does she bring them back to life? Letting your audience ask questions in TV shows is a great way to captivate them. In the year 2020, the world was hit with a pandemic. A lot of TV shows got cancelled to cut costs. Shows that were too expensive to make or shows that didn't have the viewer numbers got axed. Netflix didn't want to take risk. Some of these shows included Glow and The Dark Crystal. Chilling Tales of Sabrina was one of these shows. It was eventually cut during the production of Part 4. They had to rush out an ending and call it quits. In my opinion, the viewers started dropping. Heck, after Part 3, I wasn't going to watch it, but found out they had one more season, so I decided, well, I made it this far. Might as well watch it to the end. I literally was not going to watch this show. I remember someone saying, the show has found its audience. And to that, I disagree. When your viewer ratings start to dwindle due to certain campy changes and singing, that's not finding an audience. If you change a show drastically from its first 2 seasons and your current audience splits itself, that's not finding an audience. That's called selling out. By season 2, it was obvious the show didn't want to attract mature audiences and they wanted to have the younger Riverdale crowd, the teenage slot. If someone told me to choose between Buffy or Sabrina, I'd choose Buffy on any night of a full moon. The potential of Chilling Tales of Sabrina was great, but due to some producer meddling and poor choices and real-world issues, it eventually got cancelled and they had to wrap up the show quickly. It started out as a fun yet creepy supernatural show with a bit of camp and horror elements to a campy, slocky, predictable teenage show dressed up in a Halloween costume. The Chilling Adventure comics is dark and unpredictable. The graphic novel kills characters. The first 2 volumes has more drama and tension than the actual show itself. I really wished it was better written, had better stories, better scenarios with the characters. I'm not surprised it was cut. Fortunately, the story will continue in its own spin-off comic, The Occult World of Sabrina, so fans of the show should go and read that. So, Chilling Adventures was sold out, eaten by werewolves, executives, and spat out into a TV show and eventually became the Occult World comic series. But good news! As of this video in 2021, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina will come out with issue 9 and will finally be continued, bringing it back out of its coffin hiatus. I'm all excited to read more about it, and honestly, in my opinion, it's a much better serial story. Ultimately, I wanted to make this video because I was just so disappointed in the show. I wanted more out of it. I just found it too predictable and too campy, and from the first season to the rest, it just felt really awkward and weird to have a tonal shift, and I didn't like it. I just thought it could have been better. So the reason why I wanted to make this video was to show my distaste and my disappointment in the actual show. I really wanted it to be dark and gory and different. I really wanted it to be more like the comics, but Sabrina is a really odd show and it's a bit different. It's became something else. And if you're a fan of the show and you love the way it is, good on you. I understand why you like it and I get it, but it just isn't my kind of thing. I liked it and I didn't like it. More importantly, I like the characters. I like Sabrina, I like Selim, her aunts. I like them all, but I just don't think it was greatly written. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching and go read the comics because the comics are really great. So yeah. And if you like comedy and some cheesy one-liners, go watch the 90s sitcom. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Sayonara.